No, you see Calbeck's coming in hot with the war references. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Hopefully you guys had a fantastic night's sleep. Mine was pretty rough, unfortunately. I'm doing all right, Safe Llama. It was just a rough night's sleep. Got around to make myself angry, so kept me up, unfortunately. Just happens when you get frustrated and, you know, it feels like there's nothing you can do. There's stuff you can do, but it feels like there's nothing you can do. You just sit there and you wake up and it's like, oh, I hate it. I want to go to sleep. I want to go to sleep. But, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, yesterday worked out real well. We met up with the family. Went out to have some food, good food. We went to a place that is like a museum, sort of. It's like a museum for Ford automobiles. And it's a restaurant. And they make incredible, incredible food. All the food I had there was absolutely incredible. But like all the wait staff, the maitre d', everything like that, were all dressed in like mechanics overalls and things like that. Very, very cool, very thematic. All the tables were like designed to have Ford automobile parts, everything. Some of the food would be brought out, like onion rings would be brought out on a, I think it was a crankshaft. They would have the onion rings around it and you would pull them off the crankshaft. The bathrooms, they had normal toilets because, you know, that's something you don't want to mess with, right? Rip stream. I don't know why it would be a rip stream. Everything says fine thus far. Yeah, everything shows fine thus far. So like, toilets are normal. You don't want to mess with that stuff. Then you have, then what you have is, excuse me, you would have the sinks and everything like that were built into tires, right? The faucets were gas pumps. So you actually have the gas nozzle, and that's how you got your water. And then the urinals were a keg that you cut out. Really, really fucking cool. Genuinely cool. Like, they had a theme, and they stuck to that theme. They went with it hard. Yeah, no, again, everything shows it's fine. I don't know why you guys are getting it. I'm not getting any warnings that anything stopped from YouTube side, from Restream side, from OBS. None of it showing up as stopped. None of it. Yep, no, I got no idea what's going on. Seems like it's a total YouTube problem. Although, you'd think YouTube would then give me an error or something, right? But I guess not. I guess that's too much for YouTube. Yeah, I had a burger there called the what was it? I was thinking about getting the Model A burger, but no, I just couldn't do it. Look, more Kick is nothing but bots thing. I swear to God, I should probably just stop streaming to Kick. That's where 99.9% of our bots come from. Oh, yeah. Ever heard about Space Marine 2 secretly installing Epic Game Store without you knowing? No, I hadn't heard about that. That's very unfortunate. Yeah, Kick is getting to be a running joke at this point with all the bots. It's incredibly bad. Oh, hang on a second. Speaking of, I need to reset up my hotkeys. No, they're not entertaining. They're just annoying. If I could get it to where it doesn't, like, I wish I could filter out anything that says, you know, Discord, like, name or something like that, right? But I don't know how that would work. Like, I want to get a thing that will, you know, nail the bots themselves, but leave everybody else alone, right? Oh, it's stealth installs epic. Oh my god. Hmm. Well, I won't be installing Space Marine 2 then. I don't want I don't want any of that nonsense on anywhere on this computer. I don't want Epic Games anywhere on this. I don't want that fucking Chinese malware. I know how that sounds. I don't want any of the Epic's retardation on this computer whatsoever. I don't want to matchmake with the Epic services. So fuck them. Yeah, but as has been established time and time and time again in court, EULAs are not legally binding. EULAs mean literally nothing in terms of the court. They have never held up in court. They always get BTFO'd because they're like, that's fucking stupid. Oh. Well, that's put a damper on what the plans were for next week. Didn't Disney win? What do you mean? No, no, you don't. You don't want the case to be thrown out. You want that case to go to court. We don't want that case to be thrown out. Unless you're saying you want Disney to lose on the motion to throw it out. Ooh. Stolen royalties. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they tried to argue. Again, Disney tried to argue that, and they were getting destroyed in PR and everything. So now Disney said, "Oh, we're not gonna challenge on EULA. We're not gonna challenge on that. You know, we're not. You know, that was silly. Somebody misspoke. We'll do it in the normal legal proceedings." Again, if they had actually challenged off of it, that would have been incredible because they would have gotten, as happens every single time, they would have gotten absolutely fucking destroyed. Good. Hopefully he destroys them, Kelbeck. Hopefully he takes them for all they're worth, and I would hopefully he gets punitive damages in the millions. Oh my god. It's worse. You need Epic Store to run Space Marine 2 or can't play the game. Well, then I'm not installing Space Marine 2. That's not getting installed. I will literally put it down that if they do not get rid of Epic Games off of the Steam version, I will refund the game. I do not care. I will get rid of it. Only somebody that's an idiot would say Epic Games is not that bad. Yeah, I will literally pull it into the, shame they never made a sequel. Oh, that was me turning on the thing. EVGA did the graphics card fan spin, and I was like, nope, nah, that thing is horrible sounding. So I turned up the fan. Speaking of fan, I need to turn my other fan on. Games Workshop, are you trying to race Disney and Wizards of the Coast to bankruptcy? I mean, yeah, they are, unironically. Also, where do I go to place a bet on who goes bankrupt first? I wouldn't place it on Disney. Disney has too many assets to liquidate to keep afloat. They have way too many assets that they can just burn to try to keep afloat. Of all of them, no, Universal's doing well. Universal is actually doing well. In fact, they're rubbing it in Disney's face that they're doing really well. Of them, I'd say Games Workshop is the most likely. Yep. That's a fucking shame. Oh well. I'll probably do, because I'm morbidly curious if I called it, right? If it's going to be yet another game with, Space Marine 2 is going to be yet another game where the Tyranids lose in some contrived bullshit nonsense manner again. They can't focus on their parks, Abysmal. The parks are doing terrible. The parks were what was keeping Disney afloat, and park attendance is in the toilet because the Democrats have ruined the economy, and because Disney keeps pushing pedo shit into their parks. That's why they let those mentally ill mafia work at the park and everything. Again, as I said, Cree yesterday, it's not my fault the Games Workshop made the unstoppable force. It's their fault for writing it that way to begin with. They made the monster. They got to deal with it. They won't improve while all of the upper management are there. If you want Disney to actually improve as a company, which is what the hostile takeover was attempting to do, you would fire all of upper management and fire all of HR immediately. Get rid of them. That's the only way you're ever going to save Disney. Oh. Okay. Meanwhile, I don't think you guys will believe this. Like, well, you might believe this if you know anything about India, right? But a new article going around, and it's genuinely this bad. India. Man dies after being thrown out of an ambulance while trying to stop the driver from molesting his wife. This was yesterday. So this family had a private ambulance so they could get taken to the hospital. The husband was ill and he needed the ambulance, obviously. So the wife climbed in with him. They go in the ambulance. The ambulance driver then tries to rape the wife. Literally tries to molest her. The husband, who is in the back of the ambulance and dying. No, I'm assuming they stopped. But the husband attempts to fight back. So the driver disconnects him from all the machinery and throws him out the back of the ambulance. Drives off and then succeeds in forcing fun times with the wife. And he also stole a bunch of stuff from her and everything too. But yeah, that's India for you. But remember everybody, superpower by 2030. Oh, you ever just feel like you want to wipe out an entire part of the map, and it would be, and you know, life would be better for the entire world? Thinking right in there, get rid of large parts of northern Africa, get rid of the Middle East entirely, and India. And I think the world would be a way better place already. And that's funny, saying like, oh, what about China and Russia? China and Russia, you have people in those that actually have hope, right? Like, there's actual hope for those people if you can just get rid of the leadership, right? That's it. It's the same thing in Mexico. There's hope for the Mexican people, not their government. I have no idea what that is, Mario Against the World. No idea. Superpowered by 2030 because of all those fertilizer factories turning into massive bombs. Yeah. Oh yeah, I see the bot on Twitch. I'll grab him real quick. Yeah, what a fantastic world we live in, isn't it? Ugh. This is gross. I was reconfirming the thing for the Epic Game Store install. Yeah, I don't want to play with people from Epic Games. A bunch of fucking uncultured, moronic slime. Where are the pickles at? Oh, I've got some still being made. I actually bought some more pickles specifically for the, I bought some pickles for the potato salad. I posted the potato salad burgers in Discord. So you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, but I would definitely use people loosely in that regard. And if there was one company, oh, actually that's a hard one to say. I was gonna say if there was one company that we got rid of that would make the gaming industry better, it would be Epic Games. If Epic Games just went away forever. Well, now I'm trying to think of what else. Because Blizzard is pretty fucking bad. No, not even 10 cents the problem. That's the craziest part, right? In fact, we talked about it yesterday with Cree, that China has been the one that's actually been funding all this ESG, DEI, all this racist, sexist nonsense, right? That's been China, because China knows it's objectively evil and awful, and people that believe it are retarded. They know it. They're doing it to actually clear competition. Weirdly enough, it's the plan I had talked about in the book with the slave ship problem, right? Where you are sabotaging your enemies through money. Because they're going to continue a terrible thing and tie themselves to a terrible thing, and all it is a noose with a lodestone around their necks. Right? And then, while they are suffering, you sweep in and you take over for them instead. I really don't want to do Outlaws, because I don't want to install Ubisoft's retarded shit either. But I kind of want to put it at the same tier that Saints Row was at, honestly. That's how much I don't want to touch Outlaws. Again, it's weird, right? It's weird, Calbeck, how many people are being like, oh, Dim Tool, Russian asset. It's like, how do you believe the Department of Justice at this point? How do you believe this isn't anything but, oh, it's election season, we've got to save the Democrat dictatorship once again? It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that anybody sees the DOJ as anything but the absolute cesspit, corrupt pieces of shit that they are. I mean, we could thread knot. That's up to you. I have yours set as in progress. Your bounty is going to be started soon, which is probably what we're going to do next week, unless we can find some way to make sure we can scrub every trace of Epic off of our system afterwards. Like, the moment that I install Space Marine 2, if I can then scrub all of it off, get rid of every last trace of Epic off this computer, then maybe we'll do Space Marine 2. Otherwise, yeah, we'll probably do Forces of Corruption next week instead. It's a shame I don't have a sacrificial drive so we can, like, quarantine the fucking cesspit off of us. It is what it is. I don't know. People are saying that you can scrub your system of Epic once you've installed it, but God, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna do like root kits or anything in there with it, because that's what Epic is infamous for. That's definitely soured the mood for next week, that's for sure. I mean, maybe. I could see if anybody's got it cracked. I can just leave it in my library then, untouched. If somebody's got it cracked and they ripped out all the Epic stuff, because apparently they did it for crossplay, but again, I wouldn't want to play with anybody that's on Epic Game Stores anyways. I wish that would be an option, right? Like, do you want to install Epic Games dependencies? No. I don't want anybody that's associated with Epic anywhere on this fucking computer. I mean, it's literally people that play with the Epic Game Store are like the sheep endorsing the slaughterhouse that they're all walking into. It is baffling how stupid it is. You know, it is what it is. People are like, oh, I got the free games. Like, wow, good to know you're so easily bought and paid for. No, though, it's funny you have like a real world analog as well for it instead of something else. What's wrong with Epic? Besides being a shithole company that's anti-consumer and one of the most parasitic and awful developers in the entire industry, that is also directly working with the Chinese government? Yeah, no. What's wrong with Epic? Oh, God. Lowest rating being not worth stealing, yeah. Oh well, I mean, it is what it is, unfortunately. Yeah, again, that's how they try to sucker people in. That's how Epic gets more investments. That's how Epic stays afloat. Because people get it for the free games. And that way Epic can continue trying to destroy the industry. It's... God, I really fucking hate Epic Games. I really hate Epic Games so much. Anyways, let's go on to more pleasant topics, shall we? Oh my God. Ugh. And now I don't even know what to talk about now. Great. Do you mean EAC, Easy Anti-Cheat? A lot of games use it. Same, it's like with Squad and everything like that. And it's like, I wish you didn't use it, but well, it is what it is. I know, and I want it gone. It's a fucking nonsense I'm talking about. Same thing with like De Nouveau, right? I don't know what Kree's doing. I don't even think it's worth it. Funny enough, my family actually talked about how god awful the Minecraft movie. We're talking people that aren't normally associated in those circles. The only reason they know it is because my nephew is big into Minecraft, right? So they saw the Minecraft movie thing and they're like, this is awful. It's genuinely awful. Yeah. I kind of want to show you guys. I kind of want to do the Dead by Daylight video because there's a video I've watched it several times, right? And it's the history of the worst balanced game ever. No, you want to know shows are winning, Calbeck, is that you have people in Hollywood that are actively calling out how awful the left is, right? That's how you know things are turning around. Because they feel comfortable enough to actually speak up, finally. Matt Smith was one of them. So good on you, Matt Smith. There was another one, lady, I can't remember who it was. She was talking about how she hates this whole, we need to make a female James Bond instead of making something different. Yep, the Doctor. Yeah, the point being that all these empowering movies, all they do is they're just swapping the sex of who the lead is. That's it. They don't actually know. They're not actually written to be that way. Like James Bond is not meant to be a woman. It's just not meant to be. You have to have something fundamentally different. And this actress was saying that she wants there to be more female-oriented movies and shows and things like that. Why not do what Rare did and make something like Perfect Dark? Because Hollywood doesn't have talent. Hollywood is a cesspit of failure. Where you get promoted based off of the ideology and how religiously fanatical, dogmatic you are to the ideology. You don't have a Rare situation where Rare games, by the way, you don't have a Rare situation where you have people that are genuinely talented and passionate, right? Calbeck, what they should do, don't even call her Jane Bond or anything like that. What they should do is they should make a movie about the Limping Lady, who is probably one of the most successful spies in World War II. Right? They should make a movie about her. Oh my goodness sakes. I mean, we're talking about some incredible, like, her level of intelligence and capabilities, given the fact that she had only one leg, is fucking crazy. No, people know who that is. That's the baffling thing. People know who it is because she was that successful, right? She gets brought up a lot, and people, like, she's not a household name, mind you, but she is famous. Oh my god. My throat today is awful. Wait a minute. Did somebody... You know what? I've already seen this video before. We're going to talk about the video anyways. Well, I'm going to do a couple videos. We're going to talk about this video, though.
I don't have a dog.
Alright. This is Virginia Hall, a.k.a. the Limping Lady. This is from the Fat Electrician. Again, we're gonna talk about it and discuss it as we go through.
I don't have a daughter, but if I did, this is who I would want her to look up to. Today we're...
Give me a second. I'm going to put on my headphones. I didn't want to have headphones on, but we need to talk about the Limping Lady. We absolutely need to discuss this, because Virginia Hall should be a household name, right? These are those people like Percy Hobart that should be a household name. All right.
I'm talking about Virginia Hall, a.k.a. the Limping Lady, probably the most effective American spy of World War II, and she managed to do that with one leg. But first, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. If you've been on the internet in the last...
What I always find... Okay. This is not me, like... I don't know, I guess I'm kind of throwing shade, right? I never understand why people want to put their wallet in their back pocket. I don't understand. Like, a Ridge Wallet solves a problem, but it feels like... But the problem could be equally solved if you just put it in your fucking front pocket. I don't get it. Again, I'm not gonna say, you know, this isn't Ridge's fault. They're solving a problem, but it comes up like, why does the problem exist to begin with? Why are you shoving your fucking wallet in your back pocket? Yeah, I genuinely, I don't understand why people started putting it there. I really don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I do not understand. They're solving a problem I believe to have been caused by movies. You'd think wallets in the jacket would be more common, because that's where almost everybody keeps wallets and pamphlets and ID and everything in movies. It's just incredibly fucking weird. But yeah, how I guess I gotta go back to this variant. How the hell do you have a back pocket but no front pockets? What kind of bass-ackwards shit is that? People do it because the pocket bulge looks unseemly or something? That's fucking... So it looks better to have the tumor on your butt? I don't get it. Yeah, I do not understand why it's there. It's the same thing with, like, sitting down is more painful and everything. It's just fucking weird. Yeah, see, that's what I would think would be, if it was based off of movies and TV shows, it would be a chest pocket that you would get your wallet out of. Hell, it used to be in Victorian times, that's where you would keep it. That's where your billfold would literally be. It'd be in your coat's pocket. Usually on the left side. Because most people were right-handed. So you would open up the flap of your jacket with your left hand and slip your right hand in and pull your billfold out. So again, this is me not, I'm not like throwing shade at Ridge. They're not the ones that created the problem, right? They have a solution for the problem, but it's just funny that the problem even exists to begin with. You know? It's one of those. It's very, very strange. Women's pants sometimes only has back pockets. Yeah, but women then have purses. Like, I don't know, even some of the biggest tomboys I've ever met are like, no, purses are useful. Because you have all this other stuff you can carry with you. It's like, oh, okay. Just very strange. Very, very strange. But again, not throwing shade at Ridge or anything like that. They didn't create the problem. They're just solving the problem.
This decade, you know what Ridge Wallet is. I'm not going to waste your time. Ridge hired me to tell you to buy your dad a Ridge wallet for Christmas. If your dad's anything like mine, his wallet probably looks like a Gutenberg Bible and his back hurts, and nobody has ever pointed out to this poor guy that, hey, maybe your back hurts because every time you sit down, you've got a phone book underneath one butt cheek and you look like you're the Leaning Tower of Pisa inside of a chair. So head over to Ridge.
Again, this is why I don't have it in my back pocket. I don't understand. Mine's not even that thick. Honestly, mine's what? Probably an inch and a half thick. That's in my front pocket. This right here. This is my front pocket. It's incredibly fucking strange. Incredibly strange. My dad's wallet was enormous. And he would do the back pocket thing all the time, too. Until I told him it was stupid. I'm like, you have front pockets. What are you putting in your front pockets? And so, eventually it weaned him off of it, and he now keeps his wallet in his front pocket.
Ridge.com/TFE and shop the holiday sale. You're going to save up to 30%, and when you use my link, you're also going to be automatically enrolled in a chance to win a $4,000 bundle from Ridge. Let's get back to the video. All right, Virginia Hall, born in 1906 in Baltimore. She grew up in a really wealthy family and was a complete tomboy the entire time, and her father...
So, I would also like to point out, tomboys, if you ever have there's ever a story about, I guess not ever... Right? Trying to think, was there a really girlish girl that had an epic story? It always seems to be tomboys, right? And by the way, ladies, I'm going to tell you right now. Men love tomboys. Alright? Because tomboys also tend to be hot. Quite frankly. Like, holy shit. Men are, like, tomboys are, like, the perfect man magnet. Because it's somebody that likes to do guy stuff, is genuinely, actually interested in guy stuff. So, you have a shared interest, and you can talk with them and do fun things with them. And they're also hot, and you can make babies with them. Holy shit. It's like the fucking jackpot. Like, holy shit. Yeah, she's cute, loves me, and kicks ass. What's not to love back? Exactly. Any man that tells you that other men don't like tomboys is completely wrong and should be shunned. Oh my god, it's just... Yeah, it's fucking great. Oh, another bot. Let's grab this bot real quick. Just gonna put his name down. No. You've got it. You can see what it is. Alright. Man. Anyways, yeah. So, it's one of those things like, holy shit. Should definitely do that. No, I don't. It's not a porn bot. They're just like farming. They're farm bots, right? Go to this, use this service, get a bunch of bot views to buff your, put your streams out there in the algorithm, so to speak. As Spike Spiegel said, "I love the type of girl that would actually just kill me." Yeah, basically. Anyways.
Absolutely loved it. He taught her how to hunt, and he completely endorsed her being not very ladylike all of the time. In addition to being a tomboy, she was also highly intelligent, graduated from high school with...
I must have liberty, withal, as large a charter as I please. Damn! I forgot how many accomplishments she had. Jesus. Holy shit. Alright.
Ease and getting accepted into the top female colleges in the country. Her mother, on the other hand, had different plans because immediately after high school, she expected Virginia to get married to a young man from another wealthy family in the area so they could combine their family businesses. So she gets engaged to this guy at 18 years old. Fast forward 1 year, she's 19 years old, and she keeps catching her fiance cheating on her, so she calls off the engagement and runs off to college despite her mother's wishes. She immediately attends the top two female colleges in the country, Radcliffe and Barnard, which are the equivalent of Harvard and Columbia. She studies economics and foreign languages, deciding that she wants to become an American diplomat. She wants to live in an embassy and represent the United States of America. However, this is the 1920s, and the odds of a female landing that job are slim to none, but she wants to maximize her chances, so she learns as many foreign languages as possible. She becomes fluent in German, Italian, and French, and finishes college abroad, studying in Germany, France, and Austria. While finishing college in Europe in the late 1920s, she would bear witness to the birth of fascism and the rise of the Nazi Party, and have a better understanding of how dangerous that ideology was than 99% of Americans. She would return home in 1929. A few months after that, the stock market would crash, the Great Depression would start, and her father, a wealthy business owner, would lose almost everything, and the increased stress would lead to him having a heart attack and dying. This made
very unfortunate, because that man right there, he did so much to set up his daughter for success in life, encouraging her to not have to be ladylike, encouraging her to be a go-getter, to be somebody who's going to do what they want and with the drive to get what they want, right? That man deserves a certified pat on the back. Like, I'd say if he looked down on his daughter from whatever, if there's a heaven or anything like that, which I don't believe that, but if there was an afterlife and he could look back in on his daughter, I think he would nod to himself and know he did good, and he'd be proud of her. Hey, World War II fighter is Simo Hoyhe, a.k.a. the White Death, the deadliest sniper during the Winter War. No. You. Yeah, I don't know what that was. The stream should be back. We should be back and should be fine. I hope. I have to make sure YouTube didn't do the dumb thing, but we should be okay. Let me check. I just have to make sure YouTube didn't do something stupid. Yeah, we're fine. We had an interruption. That one was on my end. That one was OBS. OBS did a dumb. I don't know what you guys might have missed. You last heard about the White Death. Yeah. So, the White Death is not just the deadliest sniper in the Finnish Winter War, right? He is the deadliest sniper in history. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Simoy Hoihe, and I believe that's how you pronounce it. Deadliest sniper in history. Nobody comes close. The Russians tried for propaganda purposes to boost up the numbers of, like, Vasily Zaitsev and the one female Russian. They tried for propaganda purposes, try to give them a lot more than they did credit for, right? Oh, excuse me. Woo. I have no idea what you're talking about, so I looked him up and goodbye. What? What? I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying. No. Vasily Zaitsev was. That's right, Ludmilla. Yeah. Yeah, no, but again, they overinflated it. Yeah, but I don't think this is the real one, right, Calbeck? I think it's just some retard doing the usual, like weak, bottom of the barrel troll thing, right? But yeah, anyways, back to the video.
Virginia even more determined to accomplish her goal of becoming an American diplomat, so she got a job working for the U.S. Embassy in Poland as a secretary. She worked there for several years, and every year she would apply for a promotion to become a U.S. diplomat, and every year something went wrong. The first year, they lost her application. The second year, her application made it through because she delivered it herself, and she was a shoo-in. She could speak 4 languages, she was a college graduate, she was highly intelligent, well-spoken, so she passed the application portion of the hiring process and had to have an in-person interview, and conveniently, they accidentally told her the wrong place and the wrong time to be, so she got...
Man, oh man, doesn't this just sound incredible, right? Doesn't this just sound genuinely like... I'm pretty sure everybody in life knows people like this. People that know that you're better than they are, and they don't want you to succeed, so they sabotage you. We all know those kind of people. As you said about Simoy, can you repeat it? No? Again, that would be incredibly fucking frustrating in the streams. Holy shit. Because I've said it 3 times now. Yeah, it was an explosive bullet. Where did you get he wore a metal mask? I have never heard that he wore a metal mask ever. But yeah, he did take a Russian exploding bullet to his face, and he survived it. Yeah. So, Simoy, again, remember, Finland and Russia are enemies. They do not like each other. They hate each other. So, you have Russia now claiming their snipers have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kills, right? They claim this. And again, it's because they overinflate the numbers. Yeah, and we talked about Vasily Zaitsev. Vasily Zaitsev was the one that was an enemy at the gates. Yeah, Vasily Zaitsev and Lyudmila, all of their kill things cannot be confirmed. It's just Russian propaganda. Well, Soviet propaganda, to be exact. They wanted to overinflate their numbers to try to compete with the absolute devastating numbers that Simo Hoyhe put up. And remember, that's the minimum number that Simo has. Those are the ones that can be confirmed. He was so devastating as a sniper, he killed off entire units, right? Like, he took out entire platoons by himself. He was devastating. So, of course, they're going to overinflate their numbers to make themselves look better, right? That's the obvious thing to do. Yep, he only used iron sights. Which is actually a good thing, because he never had scope shine give him away. Which is how he killed so many Russian snipers. Because their scope would shine, he'd find them and he'd shoot them. Also, during Stalingrad, they had a particular need for that kind of propaganda. Exactly. Yep.
Got disqualified again. Realizing that that embassy had it out for her and was not about to let a woman become a diplomat, she transferred to a different embassy in Turkey. So now it's 1933, she's living in Turkey, she's working as a receptionist at the embassy still, and she's just waiting for that next opportunity to apply to become a diplomat. One of her hobbies at this point in time is to go out hunting with the shotgun that her father had bought for her when she was a kid. It's an irregular hobby for a woman, but Virginia's an irregular type of woman. So she goes out hunting with her friends one day, and they're hunting for snipes, which if you don't know is this little tiny bird. Apparently they're really hard to hit, and this is where the term sniper comes from. Regardless, at one point she has to hop over a fence. She forgot to turn the safety on her shotgun and accidentally blew her own foot off.
Yep. This is why, if you hadn't figured out why she's called the Limping Lady, now you know. This is also why, and again, I have to give her shit because gun safety, right? But maybe something could have happened. There is the potential, the chance that something malfunctioned on her shotgun, right? There's that potential. But this is a gun safety 101 sort of thing. If you're ever manipulating the weapon, or you have the weapon stowed, you are not in any position or capability to fire. It has to be safe. He apparently wore a sniper mask, whatever that is. Okay, sniper masks are different. So, for Simo Hoyhe, a sniper mask would be a white cloth over his face with 2 eye holes. That's a sniper mask in the Finnish Winter War, right? No, it can't be faulty ammo. It has to be a fault with the weapon itself. Because it needs to release the hammer, right? You need to have the striker be released. Granted, okay, shotguns back then still might have used hammers, actually. Technically, a lot of weapons still use hammers. There's striker fire, there's hammer fire, and this can be internal or external. That's why if you ever see weapons like pistols and things like that, you don't actually know for sure if they're striker fire or if they're hammer fired, because it could just have an internal hammer, right? I don't know what type, but this would have been like early days, so likely a Winchester would be most likely. Oh, excuse me. Maybe a Remington. Doesn't have to be a pump action. It could be a break action shotgun. My grandfather has a break action 10 gauge shotgun. Whew. It kicks like a mule. But man, oh man, so it is a single shot shotgun where you actually break, you split the weapon in half, and then you load the next shell in as the first shell gets ejected. Some of them don't have ejectors, so for some really old break action shotguns, you have to turn the shotgun and let it, basically give it a little to kick it out. But oh boy. It's not that bad for the shoulder muscle, actually, Calvin. It depends on how firmly you hold it. Because what happens is, a lot of people, it will slap. Even just a little bit. Even if it's just a little bit, if it has a little bit of give, it will slap. But if you firmly grip it in there tight and strong, it actually spares your shoulder muscle quite effectively. Now, if you fire a shit ton of rounds, obviously the strain is going to get to you, but you won't have the same shoulder-like catastrophe that you would have for people that really are kind of more, they're timid of it. They don't want it to be tight against them. They feel like they want to keep it away from their body. Novice shooters are fascinating beasts. Fascinating. I don't know what shotgun she used. I don't think it's relevant to the story. I'm putting out a scenario that is a potential likelihood. Right? It doesn't mean it happened. It could literally be that she was a little too cocky. She thought, I've been using shotguns all my life. And she didn't bother putting the safety on. Right? Complacency could have gotten her to this point. Again, but it is possible that there was a mechanical malfunction with her shotgun that allowed it to go off without the trigger being depressed. Yeah. The Dunning-Kruger effect is real, Elstube. Not so much in the Dunning-Kruger thing itself is not what the Dunning-Kruger effect is. I remember there was a big whole thing about that where Dunning-Kruger was about something tangentially related but didn't show what people thought it did. But the Dunning-Kruger effect is about competency versus knowledge, right? And man, oh man, when you don't have the competency but you think you have all the knowledge. Woo boy. Make sure you're on live chat, Calbeck. Hey, Optimus, welcome, welcome. Say this is a guy who has never fired a single weapon. It was her fault. She messed up. Again, like I said, I'm just putting out a potential where the weapon could have malfunctioned. But Occam's razor is most likely she got complacent. Because she had been firing weapons her entire life. She knows better. Like, I don't need to put the safety on. I'm just going to climb this fence real quick, right? And she caused it to herself. That's Occam's razor.
Luckily, her friends were there, and they managed to pick her up, get her to the hospital in time to save her life. While she's in the hospital recovering, she would end up getting gangrene, which is a very, very serious type of infection, especially back then in the 1930s, because antibiotics weren't going to be widely used or available for another decade. And I mean, the doctors back then are basically just grunts with scalpels, so they come over to Virginia, they're like, hey, here's the deal, you're going to die, there's one chance that we can save you. Basically, my medical opinion is your leg is pissed off and it's trying to kill you. My strategy is I'm going to kill it first. I'm going to cut it off and throw it away.
Yep, amputation. Again, a lot of things like Old Age of Sail and Civil War and things like that, right? You had people like the surgeon for a field army back in the Civil War times. And just before modern medicines were really invented, were barbers or carpenters. Carpenters especially on ships. They were known as sawbones. That's the colloquial nickname for a ship's doctor on Age of Sail vessels. Because they were likely the ship's carpenter. So they would already have tools and things like that that could be useful if somebody needed to be amputated for one reason or another. So, yeah. Was the doctor also the cook? No, not always. It depends on different duties. A lot of times the bosun or the boatswain would also be the cook. You might have the purser also be the cook, as kind of like something else to do besides keeping stock of the ship's monetary means. A lot of times they could be the cook, or it would fall to the quartermaster, because he was already in charge of provisioning anyways. So, again, if you had a really big ship, you could actually have a ship's cook. And that would be the only thing they do, right? But if you were like a smaller crew, like say you had a ship's crew, like in the book I'm writing right now, they have a ship's crew of, what is it altogether? 17 people, right? So in that one, the ship's carpenter is also the doctor, so he's the sawbones. The purser he's just the purser, but he's really, really good with money, so he gets to do that. The bosun, aka the boatswain, who is acting quartermaster and leader of the deck crew, he is the cook. Then you have the first mate and the captain, and then you have 12 ship hands for deck crew. Originally there were more, but, you know, it is what it was. There's a bad storm, and they lost one of their guys, and there were a bunch of novices that decided they didn't like the ship for whatever reason and left. Also, I guess tangentially that reminds me, the funny thing with people are like, did they really call it the poop deck? Yes. It's still called the poop deck to this day. The poop deck references the captain's quarters ceiling. So it's the deck that acts as the ceiling of the captain's quarters, which is also where the quarter deck comes from, right? Quarter deck, captain's quarters is on the quarter deck. Get it? And the reason they call it the poop deck is because it's actually a bastardization or corruption of the French term la poop. La poop, la poop, la poop. Oh, fucking French. Swear to God. But basically, it looks like the French are saying the poop. So the British just, as English always does, English is a bastardization of English, and English is a bastardization of French and German mixed together. So the English just took another French term and they Englishified it, so it's called the poop deck. Where you get a lot of fascinating terms, like the forecastle, and why they call it the foredeck and everything like that. It's because it's associated with the forecastle. I mean, French isn't even a real language. If only. Oh, man, be right back a second. My throat demons are acting up. Alright, I'm back. French words love to slam vowels in places they shouldn't be. That's the Dunkirk for you. Which, I always jokingly call it Dunkerque because that's how it's actually spelled in French, but it sounds like Dunkirk. I have no idea why the second K has to be Q-U-E, but it's French for you. Whatever. Anyways, back to the story.
So that's what they do. She gets amputated from the knee down. Later in her life, she would admit that while she was recovering in the hospital, her father had come to her in a dream and told her that she had to get through this because she had important work to do. So that's what she does. She makes a full recovery, gets a wooden prosthetic, learns how to walk again, and goes right back to trying to be an American diplomat. However, you gotta remember, she's a complete tomboy, and what's the first thing a dude does when he gets a new car, a new set of wheels, a new gun? He always gives it a name, right?
I plead the fifth. However, that was actually encouraged in the Marine Corps because you were supposed to become intimately familiar with your rifle. Because you needed to understand if it was malfunctioning, you needed to understand if it was having any kind of problems, and you need to know what, for example, the serial number was. You could be asked any time of the day, rifle number. And if you didn't get it exactly right, your ass was getting PT'd until you were unconscious. But again, they wanted you to be intimately familiar with your weapon. Because when you're intimately familiar with your weapon, you know when something's off about it. You know when it isn't performing properly, right? Oh my god. I swear to god. Alright. You know it's not, just name your rifle, the serial number. Oh my god, you probably get your ass kicked for that. Anyways, you know when something's off on it. It's that whole thing of, somebody who's only driven in a Lamborghini once versus somebody who has driven in a Lamborghini every single day of their life for years and years. The guy who's only driven in it once may not realize that it's pulling to the left when you hit a certain speed limit, right? However, the guy who's driven every single day for years and years and years, the moment anything happens, or if he hears like just a single little, he'd be like, I know what's wrong with it. All right, we're going to the shop. We're getting this thing popped up, and something's wrong. Would you rather use a break action revolver or a revolver that has the cylinder flip on the side? It depends. Both of them have their usages, right? I like cylinder revolvers more, personally, because it's an easier action. You don't need to get your second hand involved at all, with exception of taking out the speed loader and putting in the rounds, right? Now, it also depends on what type of flip cylinder we're talking about, because not all cylinders are the same, right? Some cylinders will not automatically eject the rounds, and you actually have to then bring your hand forward and push a little plunger at the front, which will then kick the rounds out. Some revolvers, when you flip the cylinder out, they will automatically spit the rounds out. Some of them don't even have the plunger or the ejector, and you flip cylinder to the side and you raise the revolver upright, and that will let the rounds drop out. All depends. There's all different kinds. I personally like cylinders more. I don't like break action because I don't like bringing my hand up on the barrel of the revolver and popping it open. Yeah, magazine-fed revolvers, or even revolvers that spit the entire cylinder out and you slap a new cylinder in. I'm like, very weird. That just seems like you're doing it to be weird. I don't know. I can see that there'd probably be benefits to it, but it's just I I don't know. It just seems like you're doing it to be weird at that point. Cursed gun idea, left-handed revolver where the cylinder flips out to the right. That's not a cursed idea. There are custom-made revolvers like that for that specific reason, because somebody's left-hand dominant. Those do exist. Again, it's not... If you know that that's what you're building with that in mind, it's no different than just a mirrored normal revolver. Don't you dare say what I think you're gonna say, Daniel. Please, please don't.
Right, Virginia named her wooden leg Cuthbert. So she goes back to work and continues trying to become a diplomat. However, now they have a legitimate reason to not let her become one. They don't need to lose her application. They don't need to give her the wrong dates and the wrong times anymore, because apparently there was a pre-established rule that amputees were not allowed to become diplomats. Why? I have no idea, but it turns out...
That is one of those rulings where it's a good rule at the time, right? Like... There was a very specific reason why, and it was likely because somebody lost their hands or something like that, and so made them ineffective in that way or whatever. Maybe it made people think that your country was weak, or that you were weak, so more easily manipulated. I have no idea. Like, I could see that there could be a logic behind such a reason. But that's kind of like one of those old school bylaws that they exist, and then it only causes weird situations later down the road, and you're just like, I don't know, what revolver are you talking about? Has a port on the right side, and when you fire it, you notice it spits out the spent casings. Usually that shouldn't be possible in a revolver, but here's how it's built. Cylinder is actually open to the outside and articulated. You can actually open and close like it grabs onto bullets. The outside of the cylinder housing can do the same. I don't know why you would need to do that, though, Daniel. Because you have revolvers that can do that, where the right side of the cylinder is exposed. Or the cylinder itself is exposed, and once the round has been fired, you have a plunger that can kick out the round on the right side. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Oh, God. Man, the throat demons are trying real hard today.
Out that Virginia has now both literally and figuratively shot herself in the foot. Virginia, being the badass that she is, though, isn't about to take no for an answer, so she begins lobbying to have the rules changed altogether. She doesn't have much success. Fast forward.
Well, here's what else it can do. Due to the cylinder being articulated like that, it can change size. Barrel can do the same, meaning different calibers can be loaded into it. That seems like a disaster every... Like, no, that's a terrible, terrible idea. That's turning your weapon into the fucking G11. That's a terrible idea. That is needlessly complex. And it's not good to allow other rounds into the weapon, because not just if it fits, you fire it. No. It's the same difference between, like, here's a 50 BMG, but here's a 50 BMG using pistol powder, right? And you'd be like, oh, well, the pistol powder will be lighter. No, the pistol powder will be much worse. The pistol gunpowder burns hotter and faster than other gunpowders. Rifle gunpowder is slower. It's a terrible idea. I only need one sci-fi sidearm, and it's that gun. Yeah, that's a... Again, no, That sounds like a horrible idea to me, Daniel. That sounds genuinely like a genuinely awful idea. You do not want to allow that to happen. It's the same thing with a lot of rifles. It gets really skeezy that certain rifles can feed different caliber things, because it's not just the size of the barrel and the cylinder or the magazine that you have to worry about. Is that barrel, is that lockup, are those locking lugs, is that bolt designed to handle that caliber? Not just size. Can the material itself handle the different type of round? Ooh, yeah, no, that's that really skeezes me out.
1940, Germany invades France, and Virginia is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go be an ambulance driver and help out the French because I hate Nazis. And that's exactly what she does. Virginia, a 35-year-old woman that was physically unfit to be an American diplomat where she would have to sit in an office and talk to people, is now on her way to France to be an ambulance driver in an active war zone. So she's an ambulance driver all throughout the Battle of Paris, and she is one of, if not the first Americans to actually stand up and fight against the Nazis. After France falls, she has to flee, so she hops on a train and makes her way over to Spain. While she's at the train station, she meets a British intel officer, and she tells him her story. This guy is so impressed that he's like, hey, take this phone number, call my friend, he can probably help find you a job over in England if that's where you want to go. So she calls the number looking for a job, and that number puts her in contact with a man by the name of Nicholas Boddington, one of the head guys of the newly formed British SOE. SOE standing for Special Operations Executive, which...
I didn't realize I would have clicked on. I was going to pause it. Yeah. So SOE, again, sounds good on paper. SOE was kind of a joke, though, because they had a bad habit. The British in general, in World War II, had a very bad habit of being really petty and stupid with their assets, right? It's why Percy Hobart, because he didn't want to get along with the other British officers, because he thought the other British officers were stupid. Rightfully so, because they were still in the, oh, cheerio, chaps, what, oh, jolly good. And it's like, it's war. Nobody gives a fuck. You're here to lead men into battle. What the fuck is this, like, officer and a gentleman nonsense that you're doing right now? So, he didn't fit in with the gentleman's club. So they constantly sabotaged his efforts and actually destroyed the capability of the British to have the Blitzkrieg first. Hell, Percy Hobart's the one who invented the Blitzkrieg. He invented it. But, again, they just, too busy circle jerking each other off. And again, that's the problem with the British in general. It was a reason why it was a good thing that, honestly, it was a good thing that Churchill went through the experiences he did, where he got to experience being on the front lines, being in the trenches, right? Because if he hadn't, he probably wouldn't have been somebody, when he became prime minister, he wouldn't have been somebody who could tell the British officers to go fuck themselves, and he's going to put the competent people in charge. So even though Churchill fucked up real bad at Gallipoli, in a roundabout way, him fucking up at Gallipoli and then being forced to deal with the consequences of that fuck up to where he went to the front line instead to actually experience the war is crazy. Yeah, no, remember, maneuver warfare directly comes from Percy Hobart's teachings. Heinz Guderian and Erwin Rommel had Percy Hobart's books. they were translated into German. That's how they could establish maneuver warfare doctrine. They were copying Percy Hobart's homework. Yep. Percy Hobart invented everything. Percy Hobart is the one who put radios inside the tanks. Again, that's as Fat Electrician himself put it, that is the upside down ketchup bottle of like how did nobody else come up with this multi-billion-dollar idea first? And again, as I always say, somebody has to be the first to invent it. It doesn't matter how obvious it is to us, right? It doesn't matter how obvious it is. Somebody has to be the first. These things don't have just always have existed, right? Somebody has to come up with it first. Percy Hobart is the one that came up with, hey, instead of giving the tanks orders and then letting them like not be able to ask any questions or get any other further orders, they can only follow the orders they're given at the start of the battle. What if the tanks are big and heavy, why don't we just put the radio in the fucking tanks? Again, that's Percy Hobart for you. He's the one that came up with that idea. Again, he's the one that made maneuver warfare. He's the reason the Blitzkrieg existed. Hobart's funnies, the tanks that are like wild and wacky and crazy, things like the crocodile, so like that, were devastatingly effective. Because Hobart was a visionary. He was a genuine genius. He understood that armored warfare was the future. And he wanted, because the British, again, being stupid, they wanted their tanks to act like dragoons. And for anyone that doesn't know what dragoons are cavalry that fight like infantry. You're like, wait. So you might be thinking, hang on, wait. Do they line up all their horses and then fire like line battle? No. They ride their horses to the battle, then they dismount their horses, and then fight like line infantry. That's dragoons for you. And that's how they were using the tanks. This is why it's so baffling. British would drive tanks to the battle, and then have everybody but, I think, one crew member dismount, and those crew would fight like infantry, instead of using the tank. You can imagine how Percy Hobart felt. He's like, I am a genius, living in a world of retards. Fucking incredible. Incredible. Bit different, Calbeck, because that's a bit of British revisionism. All of the British units that were not directly trained by Percy Hobart fought like as if they were cavalry, right? The specific corps, the Africa Corps that was taught by Percy Hobart, were the only ones that were actually using tanks like tanks. And they were the only corps that was able to actually stop Erwin Rommel. Now, I don't want to... A Fat Electrician, I think, doesn't give Rommel and Guderian enough credit. I think you should still be given credit if you recognize the genius of an idea. Even if you weren't the originator of it. But you recognize the genius and you implement it in spite of your enemies saying, no, that's stupid. That's dumb. If you look at this and you're like, this man's a fucking genius. I'm going to have all of our tank units do this instead. Like, I don't care that you weren't the first one that came up with it. You were smart enough to recognize the genius in someone else and to utilize it to your advantage. Like, man, oh man, this is fucking wild. Yep, that's correct, Calbeck. A lot of the other British units were cavalry people trying to use tanks, whereas Percy Hobart went about it the other way, which is like, hey, would you rather, take care of a fucking horse, or do you want to ride into a metal death machine that will destroy your enemies? And that's how we got a lot of people to sign up with the British Tank Corps. No, yeah, they didn't use it as mobile cover. They made the tanks stationary, so you had the gunner, and that was it. It was a stationary turret, and then you got all of your valuable crew members out, besides one guy, to go fight like infantry. It was genuinely stupid. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, exactly. Again, Rommel had a similar idea of doing tanks as cavalry, but he was smart enough to realize, well, this is stupid. It doesn't work. After Poland. Poland had no right to survive as long as it did, right? And I'm not trying to take away credit from the Polish military. The Germans did just fuck up a lot, though. But the Polish also fought like monsters. And it's amazing how Poland didn't actually realize just how much they fought and how well they fought in World War II, because Polish history books were just repeating the same propaganda that the British had done. The British intentionally demasculated the Polish to make the Germans look more evil, so they could rally up support and, kick up the war drums, right? Hey, Grynus. So, the British made it like, oh, the Polish were just backwards, simple farmers who were fighting tanks with cavalry charges. They didn't even know what rifles were. It was as if the Germans were beating up children. And unfortunately, because after World War II, Poland was then occupied by a even worse horrific force than the Germans. They had the Soviets to deal with. Poland didn't know this history of themselves, right? They had no idea. They had no concept of this history. And it wasn't until Sabaton actually researched it and wrote a song about it. I kid you not. Once Sabaton researched it and wrote a song about it, all of a sudden, a lot of Poland realized that no, our forefathers in World War II fought, and they fought well. Yeah, exactly. Poland got fucked though, because they got attacked by both the Soviets from the east and the Germans from the west. So you have the Nazis and the Soviets, two of the most evil regimes in history, that slammed into your country from either side. The fact that Poland held on for 3 days fighting a dual front war is incredible. I disagree, Garyanus. Because it was a thing that maybe there were murmurings. I guess that would be the way to put it. There were murmurings of it, but it wasn't like a household knowledge, right? Meanwhile, the Polish were fighting like a cornered bear. Yeah, that's a pretty good term for it. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so again, you have a lot of this. You have a lot of this stuff because, again, the Soviets don't want the Polish people. Once they are now the dictators in charge, they don't want the Polish people, excuse me, to rise up against their new Soviet overlords. So they killed off all their heroes in sham trials. They would call oh my god. What was his name? It's ironic because Sabaton wrote a song about him as well. But all of the Polish heroes that returned to their country were executed by the Soviets. Because the Soviets did not want the Polish people to have figures to rally behind that could argue against the Soviets and talk about how bad and awful and evil the Soviet regime was. Right? Oh, I wish I could remember his name. God damn it. And I mean, they did horrific things. Like, they called these people who fought who fought the Nazis the entire war. Their trials were like, no, they're actually Nazi sympathizers. And fucking what? What? Excuse me? Because again, the Soviets wanted to emasculate Poland. They didn't want Poland to find its balls and fight back. They wanted them to just be obedient slaves. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Again, that's the thing, Reginald. But then again, that's also where we get into the revisionism of the Nazis being a right-leaning regime, which they weren't. I don't know how so many people believe that. It's like, no. They are a far left authoritarian regime. They're literally the National Socialists. Oh, but they had jingoism and patriotism, stuff like that. It's like, being jingoistic and patriotic is not a right-leaning ideology. It's not even a left-leaning ideology. It's a modifier. There's nothing against, like, you had the Soviets who were incredibly jingoistic and patriotic. It was corrupt. But are you therefore saying the communists were right-leaning? Fucking wild. Like, holy shit. Again, always remember that fascism, communism, and Nazism are the three-headed hydra of socialism. Socialism will always devolve into one of those three. Because it must. You cannot have socialism and then say, we go no further. No, it must evolve. It cannot go beyond that. Oh my god. Again, like, a lot of it, I guess, like, it's Soviet propaganda, right? Because the Soviets don't want to admit that the National Socialists were socialists, just like the communists were just more radical socialists, and fascists are more radical socialists. It's fucking wild. Yeah, again, it's genuinely wild. Again, the one thing that sets Nazism apart from communism is the false pretense of privatized ownership, right? Communism, they don't even pretend. No, there is no private ownership of anything. The state owns everything, right? Nazism pretends that there is private industry and ownership. And I say pretends because if you do anything that the regime doesn't like, magically you lose that private ownership. So, it's private ownership so long as you are in lockstep and barrel with the regime. It's a pretense. It's a farce. It's not actual private ownership. It's private ownership with your head being held to the barrel of a gun. Exactly, Calbeck, exactly. Yep. Oh, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating because you'll even find historians also fall for it as well. And they're like, no, the Nazis were right-leaning. Like, okay, what's your evidence? Because, I hate to break it to you, right versus left is literally government control versus personal freedom. That's how it works. This four square nonsense of political ideology does not exist. That's a fabrication. You cannot have an authoritarian right. You can't have government control with personal freedom. It doesn't work. It makes no sense. They are directly opposing forces of each other. It's fucking wild. Yeah, exactly. No, it can't even be monarchism, Calbeck, because again, government control versus personal freedom. That's what right versus left is. You can't have left. The same thing with, like, you can't have a totally, like, personal freedom free left. To have these systems in place to be left leaning requires government control, requires an authority control over it. You can't have it otherwise. Again, what far right actually is, what true extreme right is total anarchism. Every man a king unto themselves, might makes right. Which, God, you don't want to live in that extreme either. You do want some kind of societal order. You don't want to live in total anarchism of might makes right. That's what actual far right is. I say that's a redefinition? No, not at all. Absolutely not at all. Again, I don't see how you could ever have the left be about freedom, ever, in any sense of the word. Again, I believe that Grynus, that is just the left trying to muddy the waters, as they always do. Like, you cannot have the four political compass. It doesn't work. And they try to say it's economic system, like capitalism versus communism, economic right versus economic left. No, that doesn't work. You have capitalism. That's it. If you don't have capitalism, you don't have an economy. That's what the Soviets found out the fucking hard way. Because the OG definition of right was the king. It had to be redefined at some point. I guess I'd have to see that OG definition. Because the political compass is government control versus personal freedom. That's what the bar actually is. Versus right versus left. I disagree, Abysmal. You can't have monarchies be left or right. Monarchies are far more left-leaning. However, monarchy is one of those ones where it's a single point of failure system, right? So, if you have a benevolent king, I'm not going to say queen because that might as well be a fucking oxymoron. But if you have a benevolent king, your life as a normal serf, as a peasant, as a person, is really good. Because you have an honorable, noble king in charge who wants to leave you alone, right? Again, they don't care unless you take up arms. But as a single point of failure system, if you get a bad king or a queen in place, your life is miserable. absolutely miserable. I think the OG left-right spectrum was traditionalist versus reformist. I could see that more. I could see what Calbeck's getting at too. Like, your traditional ideas of citizenship and personalized freedoms versus this new the new progressive, right? I could see that. But okay, that also goes back to the other thing though too with monarchies. Monarchies, while being they're not far right, correct? Can we agree on that? That monarchies are not far right because they have government control. They're not total freedom and abandon. Oh my God, the throat demons are trying to kill me. Yeah. Here's what I'll say about it though. Monarchies tend to have less governance, right? They don't have as many government bodies. It's not as bureaucratic. There's not as many loops and hurdles to go through. You don't have the regime. You don't have the machine to crush you down. Historically, that's where it came from. That's fair. Because, yeah, I would put the monarchy, like... I put monarchists kind of center-right, if that makes sense. Because with monarchy, you still have government control over the population. You don't have total freedom. With far-right, the extreme, as far as you can go, being every man an island unto themselves, every man a king, might makes right. Excuse me. It's funny. It's weird to say that, though, right? That monarchy is a less intrusive and less bloated form of governance. Yeah. So anyways, that's why you can't have a government control, like you can't have this extreme top right corner of the four political compass. It doesn't fucking work. It's not possible. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Again, as long as you paid your taxes, the same equivalent here that I would love, where states like Florida have passed it already, and Indiana is well on its way to doing it too, where there's no income tax whatsoever. All it is sales tax. Because now we have a way to actually track that, right? You have a way to, you go buy goods and services and you get taxed on the goods and services that you buy, so it's on you to pay for it. Nobody is forcing you to buy the Pop-Tarts, right? Nobody's forcing you to buy the Starbucks. So, that's the ultimate personalized freedom of taxes. You still need taxes. Taxes are a necessary evil for an overarching governing body to function. You have to have some semblance of taxes. The United States cannot have a military without taxes, right? It's impossible. But the best tax system that allows the most freedom to the individual is to get rid of all income taxes and everything like that, capital gains tax, get rid of all of that. And it is only tax on sold goods, sales taxes. That's it. Because then it is about to, then it is totally up to the individual what they spend their money on and what they get taxed on. The government has no say at that point. Yeah, so about this spy chick. Yeah, I know, right? Fucking wild tangents. Might as well be a mini stag. I would enjoy that. I wanted to set up a podcast with Sir Ben. There were plans in the work. Unfortunately, Sir Ben is also busy, and the time zone differences are really screwing our capabilities in that regard, right? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so back to Virginia Hall. Probably the most effective spy in World War II. No. So, Baron, we have sales tax in the U.S. already. In the U.S., we have tons of different taxes. So we have sales tax as is. Right? So, the way to think of it is, if you buy a loaf of bread, spend $1. Here in Indiana, it's 7 cents added on to the dollar. So instead of paying $1 for your bread, you pay $1.07. That 7 cents that was added onto it goes to the government. Again, nobody told you that you had to buy that bread. Nobody told you that you had to buy that Starbucks or that candy, right? You choose what to spend your money on. Therefore, you are now in total control of what you are being taxed. This also allows people who become totally self-independent to remain self-independent without the interference of the fucking government. Oh my god. Ooh, excuse me. That would be nice, Gryanus. I would have a dual tag system, right? So you could see it. A lot of countries do it, Mecca Canal. A lot of U.S. places don't do it. Because it's become a given that it's going to happen. So a lot of places in the U.S. don't actually do it. Now, that's why I would say what I would do if we want to keep good funding to the government, we need to triple the sales tax. And people are like, holy shit, that sounds awful. It's like, it's not actually. Again, you're still in total control. But maybe you'll spend your money a little more wisely now that you have the entirety control of your finances. You're not already losing half of your fucking paycheck to the government every time you get paid. I fucking hate income tax. Oh my god. Income tax with property tax, on top of having to pay sales taxes anyways, with capital gains taxes and inheritance tax. Oh my god. Fucking, I hate taxes. Anyways. So, basically, your $1 loaf of bread would go from $1.07 to $1.21, right? That's not that bad. Especially because you will be making way more money at your job, and you can directly choose what to spend that money on and how the government gets its taxes. That's the way it should be done. And then guess what happens? When you only have sales tax to worry about, guess what branches of government suddenly get to be way smaller than they currently are? The fucking IRS. You don't need a massive Internal Revenue Service for this problem. You just need the IRS to audit businesses. That's it. You no longer have to worry as an individual. You have been freed and liberated from the boot that is the IRS. Fucking, oh god. Anyways, back to the video.
Which is just the new spin-off of Great Britain's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, aka their equivalent of the CIA. So she talks to them, and they pretty much immediately want her to be a spy. She speaks German, she speaks French, she's lived in France, she understands the culture, and most importantly of all, she's an American. And this is important because that means she can use her actual American identity and all her real documentation to give to the Germans to get into France, posing as a journalist. Virginia immediately agrees and goes into training for the next 6 months, learning everything there is to know about espionage, or at least as much as she can in that amount of time. Fast forward 6 months later, mid-1941, Virginia Hall, the spy, gets dropped off in Vichy, France. Which, if you don't know, at this point in time, France is split in two. There's occupied France, and then there's unoccupied France, also referred to as Vichy, France.
Yeah. So you have, again, this is a pretty good map of what's supposed to be free France, right? Massive air quotes on free, right? This is the whole thing with how Nazism actually works. The illusion of freedom when it's total government control. Total control. Calbeck, I don't blame a lot of people that collaborated with the Germans when it's this dystopian, right? I can understand the logic of, I just want to feed my family. The people I will blame are the people who are doing it for personal gain. I am more forgiving on people just trying to fucking survive. Like, I just want my kids to see tomorrow is a lot more understandable and sympathetic to me than the people that are like, ah, yes, and I have had dinner with the field marshal, and now my family is on the up and up. Ha 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 ha. I should have turned collaborator years ago. No. Those are the people I would call the filthy collaborators, for sure. But the people in Vichy, France, that are just trying to live from day to day, I'm like, your life gave you the shittiest hand grenade ever, and you squeezed and you held it firmly so that your family could live. I understand. Right? I get it. Because again, fighting back doesn't always work. But that's why the people that do, in spite of that, choose to fight back should be more honored than what they are. Not partisan. What was it? Partisan? Yeah, it was partisans. Partisans, resistance fighter, rebels against these type of regimes should be lauded all the more. It was the same thing in Germany. A lot of Germans woke up pretty early to the fact that the Nazis were bad. But it's too late, right? It's already way too late. The Nazis have power now. And if you speak out against the regime, not only are you punished, but your family's punished as well. It's the same thing with the Soviets. That's why I'm more forgiving of, like, the Soviet peoples. The German peoples in World War II. I have the same sort of, like, you get a bit more of a forgiving thing. Even a lot of the German soldiery, because they just wanted to fight for their country, and they're doing it to protect their loved ones. And they know, because you have, like, the German SS Judges Corps walking around, and you know that if you do anything out of line, not only will you be field executed, but your family back in Germany is going to be fucked because of something you did. It's that whole, it's the, what's it called, there's a special term for it. Because the one thing about stuff like the Holocaust, or the Holodomor, the Tiananmen massacre, things like that, is that it has more victims than just the people that died, right? Because it also takes the people perpetrating it, and you either become a monster, or you are crushed by the guilt and the depression that wells up within you, that you have to suppress just so that you and your family can live. It's the unknown victims, right? ironically, or amusingly, I should say, Deep Space Nine actually deals with this in a very mature manner, right? Deep Space Nine deals with it in the episode Duet, where there is a guy who is just a file clerk at one of the labor camps, aka one of the extermination camps of the Bajorans. And he eventually, when he was nearing the end of his life, he decided to get himself physically altered to look like the Bajoran war camp's leader, who carried out these horrific massacres of the Bajorans, and then was as evil and maniacally, mustache-twirlingly awful as he could be to the Bajorans so they would execute him, because he believed deep down in his heart that Cardassia could not continue unless it faced the actual truth of what it did and the countless billions of unknown victims that it created. Cardassia will not survive until it looks the Bajorans in the eyes and actually says it's sorry. Again, Deep Space Nine, there's a reason Deep Space Nine is one of my favorite, is actually my favorite Star Trek, and one of my favorite sci-fi shows ever. My favorite sci-fi show, obviously, being Babylon 5. Holy shit, Babylon 5, that's a common occurrence there. My god, Babylon 5 is so fucking good. I actually make a reference to Babylon 5 in the book as well. When a character is facing a challenge, when he's on the verge of death, and he has to choose to live, he gets asked the questions. Who are you? What do you want? Where are you going? Why are you here? And the ultimate question of, it's easy to die for something, but do you have something worth living for? So, yeah. Sorry making myself sad there. Holy shit. Yeah, if you have never seen Babylon 5, you need to watch Babylon 5. You need to watch it. It is an absolutely incredible series that got overshadowed by Star Trek, but I think has a lot more profound, like, moral lessons with it. Like, don't get me wrong, the Picard speech is legendary for a reason. However, Babylon 5, the entirety of it was a Picard speech, basically. It is genuinely really good. It gets a little iffy in the end, but it actually deals with the rise of fascism, in the form of the Night's Watch. Or, wait, no, what were they called? Eldritch, do you remember what the armband-wearing Knights Guard? What were they called? They were literally the Gestapo, in all but name. What were they called? I swear it was Knights something. Well, shit. Now I have to look it up. I cannot. It's gonna kill me. Ah, I was right. It is Night Watch. Yes, it is the Night Watch. That is it. I was correct. Yeah, they were the SA, which later morphed into the full-blown Gestapo. And you actually get to see from the perspective of a character that joins the Night Watch, to show how easy it is. It sounds good. That's the thing with all of these things. Socialism sounds good on paper. Socialism is evil, though. What sounds good on paper is nothing but a noose around your neck. And the problem with socialism is that it forces the person to willingly put their head in the noose. That's why I hate socialism. That's why I hate fascism, communism, and Nazism so much. Because they're all socialism. All of it is. I can't stand fucking socialists. Oh my god. Sorry, I bummed myself out there for a second. Anyways, back to the video.
Now, Vichy France is technically supposedly free, but pretty much everybody knows that it's a puppet state for the Nazis at this point. And Hall's job is to go in there, posing as a journalist for the New York Post, build a spy network, and do anything she can to fuck with the Nazis. Okay, and just so we're on the same page, this isn't like the movies where she has, like, instructions to go meet with some guy that's her connection, and she, like, integrates with this already existing spy network. No, she was the first spy to go in. She had to go...
Yep. So this is what makes Virginia Hall such a legend. She was the first on the ground. She is the first spy to go in with the SOE, the Special Operations Group. What was the E for again? Fuck, I can't remember. Basically, yeah. She is the one that has to build the spy network from the ground up. When people talk about the handler or the spy master, she's it. She is the spy master. She is the handler. From my point of view, the people against eating babies are evil. Keir Starmer supporter. Yeah, basically. Two-tier Keir for a good reason. We need to start labeling. I had a conversation about this. The Democrat Party are the Nazi Party in the United States. Unironically. The Democrat Party is genuinely the Nazi Party. But the person I was having the discussion with is like, no, you can't say that. You can call them authoritarian fascists, but you can't call them the Nazi Party. Because they've already said that the Republicans are the Nazi Party, and you'd just be following in their footsteps. Like, I don't fucking care, it's true. I don't fucking care. I don't care if they said it first. It's another thing of projection. They are the Nazi Party of America. What annoys me is that the Democrats have always been corrupt and evil. And it's just fucking... Oh, it drives me insane. I don't know, I guess I'm just frustrated that people are so easily, like... That people are so easily, oh, the petting puppies and kitten act, it's a good thing. It's like, did you read anything in there? It literally says they can kick down your door and steal grandma and execute her in front of you if you say anything bad about the regime. But it's the Petting Kittens and Puppies Act. What? Fuck. Here's the same thing with Biden. Oh my god, Biden, when he went unscripted, admitted that the Inflation Reduction Act had nothing to do with inflation. In fact, it actually escalated inflation, which everybody with a fucking brain knew it was going to. And it should have been called the Climate Change Act. Because that's what it was actually for, and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Why are Democrat voters so fucking dumb? Why? Why can't they just read? Why can't they think for themselves? I hate it. I really do. I fucking hate it. You know what? I'll be right back a second. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. My bladder's screaming at me. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And then we are just gonna play the video. Alright? I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Remember, the reason Planned Parenthood exists is as a eugenics project to remove black Americans from the gene pool. Now it's being used against everybody because they want to get rid of Americans from the gene pool. It's fucking wild. Also, okay, I'll bring this up before. How fucking evilly ironic was it at the DNC where they're bragging about the family while they had an abortion and vasectomy van out front that they championed proudly to murder children and sterilize men. Fucking crazy. Oh yeah, Safe Llama. The DNC stated with pride that they would have abortion vans and vasectomy vans out front of the DNC while they, inside during the event, talked about the family unit and how the Republicans are trying to destroy the family unit. While in the very fucking parking lot, you are murdering children and sterilizing men. If that isn't a perfect symbol of just how evil the Democrat Party is, like, on its face, openly evil, I don't even know. Holy shit. I don't even fucking know. Anyways, back to the video.
Go in and build the network from scratch. They literally took Hall, a 35-year-old woman with a wooden leg, gave her some money and some cyanide pills in case she got caught, sent her into enemy-held territory and was like, fucking figure it out. So Hall shows up in Lyon, France, and she doesn't even...
So this is one of, ironically, while this sounds stupid, right? On the face of this sounds dumb. But her going in with no contacts and no oversight is, ironically, the greatest thing the British could have ever done. Because British bureaucracy and oversight cripples so much of their fucking efforts. It is wild. Genuinely wild. Again, the British could have had the mosquito before the war started. But British oversight and bureaucracy made sure that didn't happen.
They have anywhere to stay. All the hotel rooms are full, all the houses are rented. So many people have been displaced from the war, there's nowhere for her to stay. So when she first gets to France, she ends up living with a bunch of nuns at first. And she had a curfew, the whole 9 yards. Then after a couple weeks, she finally gets a hotel room, and that's where she sets up her headquarters and makes her first contact. She goes straight to the U.S. Embassy and tries to get their help. And the head of the U.S. Embassy is like, absolutely not, America's neutral, we want nothing to do with it. But the second in command of the American Embassy pulls her aside and he's like, yes, I'm willing to help. And this is really important because this is the only way she's going to be able to communicate with London. You see, because it's an embassy, they have a diplomatic bag, so it's going to be mail that's not being screened by the Nazis before it goes out. So, if this guy's willing to slip her messages to London into the diplomatic bag, it's going to be the only way that she's going to be able to get communication outside of France. So she gets it done.
I know people might be saying, like, well, wait, they're the Nazi regime. Why would they give a shit about diplomatic bag? They can't take the diplomatic bag away from the person that has it, right? It's not one of those, oh, we've super promised we won't look inside. No. You physically cannot take the bag away from the diplomat. It's not allowed. It's not possible. So, yeah, that's the only reason this works when you think of it from these sorts of regimes. Like, no, because the diplomatic bag does not leave the diplomat's side. You're not allowed to touch it. It's the same thing with the diplomat's car, right? You physically cannot inspect or do anything to a diplomat's car.
done. She establishes a connection.
Which actually, tangentially related, but doesn't need to be elaborated on further. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Bob Ross, actually. His father was an American diplomat to France, I want to say. And Bob Ross, being the rebellious youth he was, would take out his father's car with the actual diplomat plates and stuff on it, and he would break all the laws and everything for all the roads. And he finally got pulled over by one policeman who was sick of it, who walked up to him and he said, "I'm not allowed to do anything to you because of those plates on your car, but have some fucking respect for the country you're in." And then he just walked away, and he got back in, the police officer got back in his car, and he drove off. And I want to say, I'm pretty sure this is Bob Ross. Or, no! I know who it was! My apologies, this was not Bob Ross. This was, what's his name? He does the woodblock prints in Japan. His father was diplomat to France. He does woodblock prints in Japan. His name is, he actually had a whole movie based around him called Ukiyo-e Heroes. His shop is in Yokohama. What's his fucking name? What's his name? Video games, caringly designed by Jed Henry and beautifully printed. David Bull, that's his name. David Bull. Yeah. And he is a genuinely lovely man. Lovely. He moved to Japan, and he has now lived in Japan for, like, basically his entire life at this point. He is a very, very lovely man. He is the one that does woodblock prints, and they are actually designed by an American who studied the Japanese style intimately, and he designs video game characters and things like that in the traditional Japanese style, so that David Bull can make woodblock prints of it in the traditional woodblock printing method style. If you've never seen it before, Ukiyo-e Heroes is the name of it. Fantastic documentary on it. Yeah, I was trying to remember Safe Lama. You'll understand why, because David Bull is kind of... He's a bit more of an animated Bob Ross. Let me show you David Bull. Don't you dare tell me. Oh, I got real worried there. One of the first things that got put up on YouTube for its auto finish was his obituary, and I was like, oh my god, dude, don't you dare tell me that. No, he's alive. He's alive, thank God. There you go. This is David Bull. You know what? He also kind of looks like Manson, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, he genuinely does traditional woodblock printmaking in the original style. Everything he does is hand carved and crafted. That's what he's doing at that station right there. That is his carving station. He has to carve out all of those lines and all those details by hand. And he doesn't do it once. He does it multiple times, depending on what is needed. Right? For if he wants to do the cloak, if he wants this to be a different color, he has to actually carve out all of this just for the one color and everything. It is crazy. It is really fucking good. Hate to bail, but I gotta fall over for a bit. Have a good one. Yeah, no worries, Calbeck. No worries. Yeah, here, let me show you some of his prints real quick, and then we'll get back to it. But this is what I'm talking about when I talk about, like, the diplomatic bag and immunity and everything like that, right? There you go. Here's one. It's not really high resolution, but there you go. There's Samus, right? Done in the traditional woodblock print style. The most famous one he did... The most famous one was definitely the Mario one, which they actually used for the cover. There you go. See? That was actually used for the cover of the documentary itself. I was going to say, Rasputin I could see as well. I was going to say, he looks kind of Charles Manson-y as well. But there you go. That's the most famous one by far. The literal Mario Kart one. So good. It's so good. Genuinely fantastic. Hang on, let's get some other ones. So you can see some of the other, like, wild ones he's done. Yeah, let's do the Star Fox one. That one's really fucking good. Here's the Star Fox one. Man, these are just so fucking cool. Oh my god, I know. I said it was gonna be a small tangent. Here we are. I should not talk about tangents being small, should I? Ever. It's not gonna work. We're gonna get caught up in this. These are just so fucking cool. Yes, there is a Zelda one. Hold on. He has a few Zelda ones. This is one of the more recent ones. This is for Breath of the Wild. There you go. Unfortunately, it's on Reddit, but there you go. That's for Breath of the Wild. Here's the, here's a really fucking cool one. Oh, no, let me see the full thing, please. Please, come on. This one's Monster Hunter. Look at that. Just absolutely look at it. Fucking gorgeous. Is there a Morrowind one? I don't think there's a Morrowind one or an Elder Scrolls one. Let's see. There's One Punch Man. There's Shadow of the Colossus. That's a fucking good one. Yeah, maybe I should show Shadow of Colossus one. That's the Final Fantasy one. Let's do the Shadow of Colossus one. Oh, it's on Pinterest, though. We're not going to be able to see it. Damn it. Damn. Pinterest will give some fucking warning that, oh, how dare you not sign up with Pinterest. Oh, fuck it. I hate Pinterest so much. Oh, here's a good one. This one was genuinely really fucking cool. I actually watched him carve this one. So, you should be able to get it immediately, but, here you go, chat. You should be able to understand what this is referencing immediately. And again, like I said, I actually got to watch him carve this one and make prints of this. Threadnought got it. Yep. It's a Metal Gear Solid reference. So fucking good. Like, it was so cool to watch them print these and everything. He actually has a full video of doing this one in particular. And remember, you can buy all these. You can also go to his shop and go through woodblock print parties where you can actually print out some of these yourself. He'll teach you how to do it. And the one he teaches people on is the Great Wave, for obvious reasons. That one is one of the most historically famous ones there is. Oh, there's the Dragon Ball one. Oh, here's the Final Fantasy VII and the Link one. And the Zelda one side by side. There you go. See, Final Fantasy VII and the Zelda Breath of the Wild. Oh, man. I will link it, I'll link it in the Discord. I'll put them in the appropriate channels. I'm gonna do, we'll do the normal Ukiyo-e heroes on, in the general chat. Maybe in the Artist Avenue. I think I'll put it in the Artist Avenue. That sounds like a good idea to me. Artist Avenue. Okay, because that, again, that just makes sense, honestly. And then I will put the documentary, because there is an actual documentary to watch. Hell, we could actually watch it. That'd be fantastic. I will experiment one day to do a stream like this where we actually do a movie and maybe have like 99% of the screen is blocked out, but you see the subtitles or something like that, so people can sync their own copies. I don't know. I gotta figure something out like that where people can sync copies here. But here, this I will put in the movies discussion channel. Alright, anyways. Back to the video.
She now has a way to communicate with the outside world. On to the next order of business. Go see the gynecologist. Not for her, for the Nazis. You see, she has a two-pronged attack method that she's going to use to wreak havoc on the German ranks. Yep. Step A, recruit a gynecologist. Step B, recruit a brothel owner. All right, so here's a...
All right. So can you guys figure out already what her absolutely wicked plan is? This is good. This is really fucking good. This is a great idea. So remember, she's now recruited a gynecologist and a brothel owner. Ding, ding, ding. Sir Reginald has got it. Whew. This is wicked in the most, like, that's a brilliant idea way possible.
The plan. She gets this gynecologist to start working with her by the name of Jean Rosette, and then she gets this brothel owner by the name of Germaine Guerin to start working with her. And the plan she works out is the brothel owner is going to send all of his employees to this particular gynecologist, and he's going to sort out the ones that do not have STDs and the ones that do have STDs, and he's not going to treat them, but he's going to give them a clean bill of health, and then the brothel owner is only going to let those ones sleep with the Nazis. So already Hall is...
Yep. So there is a registry where if there are anyone else but German they get the clean girls. If they are German, they get the special secret reserve list. Whoa.
Establishing herself as a diabolical mastermind. I mean, she's conducting biological warfare, weapons of mass destruction, if you will. All the other spies are out here worried about intercepting mail and sending secret messages, and she's over here destroying the German ranks from the inside out and making them enjoy it while she does it. And the scary part is she's just getting warmed up. You see, now she starts sending messages back to London through that diplomatic bag, asking for supply drops in the countryside, and she gets them. They're dropping off guns, explosives, and she's turning around giving that to these guerrilla fighters that are just doing anything they can to fight the Germans, and she's also getting money to bribe officials and heroin. Yeah, the second prong of her prostitute attack on the German ranks is that after the employees have already given the Germans an STD, they are then also going to attempt to get them addicted to heroin.
Yep. So, you show up to the brothel as a German soldier in World War II. You bang a French chick from the special list. You now have an STD. Also, that French chick is going to offer you some hardcore drugs to try to turn you into a reckless drug addict. Absolutely wicked. It's cheaper than actually funding soldiers and everything like that.
I mean, the Germans get all this credit for developing their brilliant blitzkrieg tactic during World War II, which translates to lightning war. I'm going to go ahead with whatever authority I have, and I'm going to dub this the brothel krieg tactic in honor of Virginia Hall, because this is brilliant. So this keeps going for months and months, and she develops more and more connections and builds this enormous spy network that is officially given the code name Heckler. And every month, more and more spies are coming in, and she's helping them get set up. And these new spies know how to send wireless transmissions, so now there's other ways of getting messages outside of France. But the problem is, these wireless transmissions can get tracked by the Nazis, and a lot of these new spies are getting caught that way. So then fast forward October 1941, all the other spies, there's like 12 other ones in the area right now, and they decide they're going to have a big meeting. Basically, they're coming up with an excuse to get together and have a party and actually talk about all the cool stuff they've been doing, which is a huge mistake for a spy.
Yeah, again, I can understand the mistake, right? Very, very understandable mistake to make. It's human. If you want to talk about all of the high-speed, low-drag, hush-hush shit you're doing, right? The only other people allowed to know are other people also doing it. So it's really tempting to have everybody get together and be like, oh man, I did this fucking cool thing. I assassinated that guy. Oh man, we placed that bomb in that railway station. Woo, the Germans didn't expect that, did they? You know, understandable. It's a big temptation. If you have the mental fortitude and discipline, you can resist that temptation. These spies did not.
So Virginia avoids it. Sure enough, all 12 spies get busted and captured, and this was known as the Marseille Mousetrap, where the German Gestapo captured 12 spies all at once. They captured all the wireless operators, and again, Virginia is basically the only spy on the ground, and she is the only spy still capable of getting a message out to London. So she sends a message out to London basically saying that everybody else has been captured, nobody else is going to be able to communicate except for her. In addition to that, the German Gestapo also now know what she looks like and have drawings of her, and they know that she walks with a limp, and they're starting to call her the Limping Lady. So she is a...
Hooray! Because the other spies had no mental fortitude and discipline, now she has been compromised. Well done.
Effectively number one on the Gestapo's most wanted list, and leading the Gestapo in Lyon at this point in time is Klaus Barbie, one of the most brutal Nazis of World War II. And he is quoted as saying, "I would do anything to find that limping Canadian bitch," end quote. He believed that she had to be Canadian because he didn't think any American could speak French so fluently.
Buongiorno.
London then responds by saying, hey, that's Terrible, A, but also, go ahead and flee, get out of the country, they're gonna find you. They know what you look like, they know that you walk with a limp, and every time you take a step with your hollow wooden leg, there is a distinct wood noise. They're gonna catch you. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but to this, Virginia basically said, hold my leg and watch this shit.
This is time for the main character to fully take center stage. Remember, they know what she looks like. They know she walks with a limp, and they know they can listen out for the sound of her walking with said wooden prosthetic. Brace yourself. She hasn't even begun. It's time for her to prove that when it comes to Spy Masters, she's in a class of her own.
Rather than flee, she decides that she's going to orchestrate a jailbreak of the other 12 spies that have been captured. But she's playing it on hardcore mode because the Germans know that they're looking for the limping lady, and every time she takes a step with her hollow wooden leg, it makes a wood noise. And then her plot armor activates and divine intervention kicks in because supplies into France are so low and so scarce that they're no longer getting rubber and leather to make shoes out of anymore, and people have to start carving their shoes out of wood, and all of a sudden, everybody's walking around making wood noises, completely disguising her movements. So rather than fleeing the country, she tracks down the prison that the 12 spies are being held at, then finds somebody that works at the prison, convinces them to get her a roster of the prisoners, uses that to track down a different, completely unrelated prisoner's wife on the outside, befriend her, and convince her to help her. Virginia, not wanting to be seen herself because they know what she looks like, decides that she's going to have this other prisoner's wife start smuggling in supplies to the 12 spies and, by extent, this woman's husband. Like they're baking handcuff keys and screwdrivers into cakes and shit to smuggle these supplies in. And this goes so well that she decides she's really going to start showing off. She's going to try to smuggle in an entire wireless set into the prisoners. And the wireless set is like the size of a briefcase. So she gets a 70-year-old priest that's a double amputee from World War I to smuggle this briefcase in by sitting on it in his wheelchair. And he ends up giving it to the other spies that actually know how to use the equipment. Here's the thing, the spies on the inside needed a really big antenna to make this thing work, so they ran a wire from their cell into this, like, wireless setup outside across the yard and attached it to the boundary fence, using the entire fence as an antenna.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, their own fence, which again would have no gaps in it, acts as a full radio broadcaster. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's basically one of the German radar bunkers on its, laying down on its back at that point. Good God.
And somehow never got caught. So now the spies are transmitting messages from inside the prison directly to London. So fast forward like a month, Virginia has smuggled these guys everything they need to be able to break out from the inside, and once they get outside the boundary fence, she is going to be there to pick them up, get them to a safe house, and smuggle them out of the country. Everything is completely arranged. Then on the day of the jailbreak, Virginia makes sure that somebody else tries to smuggle in a bunch of booze to the prisoners, knowing that they would get caught and that the guards would end up drinking all the alcohol that night, making it easier for the spies to slip away. Which is exactly what happens that night. All the guards are drinking, partying, having a good time, and while that's going on, the spies are utilizing the handcuff keys and all the tools Virginia smuggled in to escape. They run across the yard under the cover of night, scale the perimeter fence, and waiting there is Virginia, who immediately takes them to a safe house. They hide for 2 weeks straight while the entire Gestapo is searching everywhere for them. And then she smuggles them out of the country. Okay, fast forward a month. It's November 1942. She just staged that huge jailbreak. All the Germans are looking for her. And now the Gestapo has brought in an additional 500 men, all with the sole purpose of finding the limping lady. It is
Imagine you are such a thorn in the side of a regime that they are now bringing in specialists specifically to find and stop you. They want you in particular.
This moment, Virginia decides it's probably time to leave. But with 500 new Gestapo all looking for a woman with a limp, she can't take any of the normal ways out of the country, so the only method she has to escape is to take the Pyrenees Freedom Trail, a 50-mile hike through the Pyrenees Mountains to cross the border between France and Spain, and she has to do it in November in the coldest winter for France in over 200 years. It is a 3 to 4 day hiking trail for people doing it for fun, not in the middle of winter, and Virginia manages to do it in 2 days with a wooden leg. During her hike, she was communicating with London via radio, not like secret spy radio, just normal radio transmissions. It wasn't going to blow her cover. She was already blown and she was leaving anyways, so it didn't really matter. And she would tell London that Cuthbert was giving her issues because I'm sure, as you can imagine, hiking with a wooden leg would get pretty tiresome after a while.
So remember, as we discussed, like what the military does for soldiers, and you need to become intimately familiar with your rifle, and a lot of them will name it, she named her wooden leg Cuthbert. Remember, keep that in mind.
Would appear so, wouldn't it?
To which London, not knowing who Cuthbert was, responded by saying, if Cuthbert is giving you problems, have him eliminated.
Take him out.
Take him out.
So she crosses the border.
They're like, Cuthbert? Who the fuck is Cuthbert? You're escaping with a man named Cuthbert? If he's hindering you, fucking kill him. What's the big deal? God, if I was her, my smart assery would have come back and be like, I tried to strangle Cuthbert and he went as stiff as a board, is what I would have sent back. Oh my God, I would have absolutely said, I've been strangling Cuthbert for hours, but he's as stiff as a board. But again, like I said, I know I have a smart ass in me. I can't help it. I cannot help it.
Border into Spain after 2 days, complete badass, she has escaped the Nazis, and 48 hours after she leaves Lyon, her entire hotel room gets ransacked because the Germans finally figured out who she was, and she had escaped just in the nick of time. And then she promptly gets arrested by Spanish authorities for illegal immigration. So then she has to get a message out to London, out to America. They finally come, bail her out. She goes back to London working with the SOE, and she's like, okay, well, cool, send me back in. And they're like, no, your cover's blown. You've done all you're gonna do. That's it for you. We're not gonna let you do anything else.
So remember, the SOE has now grounded her. The SOE has now said, no, it's too dangerous. Virginia Hall is then going to look longingly across those great, beautiful waters and say, Cowabunga it is.
As far as like actively working undercover goes. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but Virginia Hall basically says, okay, well, peace out, nerds. I'm going to go work with the Americans. She goes over to America, goes to the OSS, the direct predecessor of the CIA, and is like, hey, I'm more experienced than any spy you guys have. Put me in, coach. To which the OSS is like, sure, why not? And they give her a shot. This time...
Remember, Americans are in a can-do... Cowabunga it is, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker attitude. They're like, yep, you know that this is dangerous, right? And she's like, yeah. And like, alright, fucking send her in.
Virginia makes sure that she takes a wireless transmitting class, though, so now she can also send the wireless transmitting signals. She doesn't want to be the only spy not able to, like last time. So she does that. She then realizes that she's going to have to pretend to be a much older woman. This would help disguise her limp, and it would help change her face so that they didn't know what she looked like anymore. So she goes to a professional Hollywood makeup artist, learns how to do makeup to look like a really old woman, and then she goes to a dentist in London that grinds all her teeth down so she looks like she has terrible teeth like a French peasant would. The OSS then sneaks her back into France on a PT boat and drops her off completely by herself again. And from there, she just starts doing it all over again. She develops a huge spy network again. This time, she's posing as an elderly milkmaid by day and a spy master by night. At this point in time, the French resistance had all kinds of guerrilla fighters, but they were basically just running around blowing shit up, being as big of a nuisance as they possibly could, and weren't being strategic about it at all. So over the course of the next year and a half, Virginia set out to establish a chain of command and actually get them to work together and coordinate attacks and efforts.
Yeah, basically get all the disparate little cells, freedom fighters, and rebels on the same page. Because it's one thing to have active resistance, right? They'll be annoying. They're a nuisance. they're flies buzzing around you, right? It's another thing to have them form up and be the mosquito that specifically targets your jugular, right?
By 1944, she had amassed an entire army. She had 3 battalions, 1,500 guerrilla fighters that she was coordinating attacks against the Germans with from the inside, all while transmitting signals to the Americans to have them drop off supplies like guns and explosives to continue fighting with. She would then be notified that in June of 1944, D-Day was going to happen, and in the weeks leading up to it, she used her guerrilla army to coordinate and sabotage major highways, railroads, communication lines, and bridges, preventing the Germans from reinforcing the right beaches in a timely fashion, potentially changing the entire course of D-Day. And somewhere around this time frame, the OSS would send in a reinforcement to help Virginia out, a young Polish operative by the name of Paul Giat. He parachuted into theater, too late to have any real influence on the operation, but him and Virginia would end up falling in love. After the war, they would both move back home to America, where Paul would get his citizenship, and they would both begin their careers working for the newly found CIA. They would then go on to lead a specialized task force monitoring communism in the Eastern Bloc of Europe. Yeah, this incredible story literally ends with 2 spies falling in love and going out on missions together. In 1945, President Truman wanted to give Virginia the Distinguished Service Cross, the highest honor a civilian could receive, because technically spies weren't in the military, so they're ineligible for the Medal of Honor. But President Truman wanted to give this to her in a humongous ceremony, tell her story, and make her basically an international hero and celebrity. Virginia, however, declined that offer because she didn't want her cover blown. She still wanted to be operational and capable of helping the United States and the world if she was needed. She became the only female civilian of World War II to be awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, and was awarded to her by General William Donovan, and by her own request, it was awarded in front of only one witness, her mom. Her future husband and fiance, Paul, wasn't there because she didn't think her mother would approve. This woman was behind...
You married a Polishman? Gasp! Oh, how dare!
Enemy lines fighting against the Nazis for all of World War II. The entire thing, longer than probably any other American, and she's still scared of the opinions of Mom. And that's it. Virginia and Paul would live happily ever after. They retired at 60 years old, and Virginia would pass away at the age of 76 in 1982. And nobody knew anything about this until they read her obituary. She never gave an interview. She never wrote a memoir. She never said a single thing. And later in life, when she was asked why she never talked about it, she said, and I quote, "Too many of my friends died for talking too much." Which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck. So, in conclusion, this is a story of Virginia Hall, the deadliest spy of World War II. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel.
Hell yeah. Again, this is who you make a movie about. We talked about it earlier, which is what led us into this video, right? If you want a female empowerment movie, you don't make a Jane Bond. You don't take James Bond and give him tits. You make a story about, and a movie about Virginia Hall. You make a movie or a mini-series about the Limping Lady.
Channels go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com.
Quack bang out.
The fact that people know and care more about Kim Kardashian over Virginia Hall is going to piss me off probably for the rest of the
Alright, 1 second. Let's swap over to... I need to get that out of the way. I'm going to grab that, so we're putting that in the description. Yeah, we'll get that added up in the description. In the meantime, let me send this out. It's going to be a bit spammy, but I'm going to send it out onto all of my chats. So anybody watching in any of the chats can click directly onto it. You need to see all the different little things. There we go. Fantastic. Yeah, a little spammy there in the video itself, but that's okay. Yeah, I think that's worth it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, what an absolute fucking legend. What an absolute legend. He might do videos on it. Again, he tries to get as many videos out as he can. Obviously, he can only do so many at a time, right? You can only do so much so quickly. I would love if he did do more of the other heroes too. Granted, he's much more American focused at a lot of times, but he'll still go out of his way, like with Percy Hobart, right? Who I'm genuinely happy that more people get to understand who the real architect of armored warfare actually is. I would love him to do a video that's be kind of depressing, but I'd love him to do a video about the French army in World War II. The ones that, the Atlantic Wall. The Maginot Line was actually as devastating as it was supposed to be, and how it got sabotaged, both by the French politicians and Belgium, and then how the French generals and army were actually trying their best, being crushed underneath the stupidity of their allies and of the French politicians, and then went on to form the Free French Army that also, a lot of people don't realize, also was at D-Day and also was fighting in France to retake their own country. But a lot of people don't talk about the Free French Army and everything like that, which is a shame. Did Fat Electrician do a video on John Paul Jones? I don't think so. Like I said, I will add the Fat Electrician thing in the description. I wonder if I can do that right now, actually. YouTube, will you allow me to edit the description here? New tab. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Alright. Looks like it will, which is fantastic for me. Oh. Boom. Alright, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, and then I'll just take this, and I will add that into the Rumble one as well. Save the vidya. Alright, let's get that on the Rumble too. Mute tab. Over to content. Yeah, chat, I actually had a plan. I was going to talk about more of the book and more of some of the ideas and like what Drakargan is and everything. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, put that there. Fat Electrician video is now in. Go. Save that. Okay, perfect. Take 30 seconds for that to change. Fantastic. Alright. Yeah, that works. That works for us. Well, remember, Belgium fucked France, but France also fucked Belgium. But then that was because of the French politicians. And then Belgium wanted to get back at them. And then, oh my god, it gets so petty. It is unbelievable how petty that got, which and then ended up costing France entirely because they weren't allowed to finish the Maginot Line. Yep. Yeah, chat. Again, we'll probably talk more about like Drakargan. The 3 different ships. There was 3 ships I was going to mention to show kind of like design ideas for ships. One of them being the ships for Drakor. Drakor is going to go more stylized and more like intimidation factor with its ships. But yeah. In the meantime, though, chat, hopefully you guys take care. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe and healthy. Get fit, get ripped. I will see you back here on Monday. Oh, yeah. Wow, it is already Friday, yeah. Tomorrow we'll be watching the movie Rush Hour because we've started watching Jackie Chan movies just for a bit of fun. So if you want a free movie every Saturday, join the Discord. That's all you got to do. Join the Discord, get a free movie every Saturday. In the meantime, though, chat, bye-bye. Goodbye. Oh. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.